Perfect. First of all, thank you so much for joining in. I know it's pretty late in the night back home in India and in Pakistan and big other parts of the world as well. But the reason for doing this live right now was just because there has been some extraordinary announcements, extraordinary changes, and a lot of people are worried. And as far as we are concerned, as far as AwithKubeir groups are concerned, our Facebook groups are concerned, WhatsApp groups are concerned, it has always been our effort, our endeavor to make sure that you always get updated information, updated news about what's happening in the world of Canadian immigration. And with the coronavirus crisis, with this COVID-19 crisis, there have been some extraordinary things that have been happening around the world and of course in Canada. And there were so many questions that were coming up in the group. So I thought, okay, let's quickly come here and do this short broadcast so that we can clarify in detail what's happening. All right, so let's take it from the top. First things first, a short while ago, about an hour or so, an hour and a half, actually now 2 hours, okay, ago, Prime Minister Trudeau, he came live and he made this live speech and he said that Canadian borders will be closed to all foreigners except American citizens. Okay, so what that effectively means that Canada will be closing its borders to anybody who is not a Canadian, not a permanent resident, and not an American citizen at this point of time. When will this come in effect? That has not been announced, but I'm sure that clarity will come very soon, because if he was to say that this is effective immediately, then there are obviously lots of people who are currently traveling, who are amid flights and will obviously have problems. So therefore, I'm sure there will be an effective date for this, and I am expecting that effective date to be from midnight of the 18th of March. That is my assumption, but I'm sure that clarity will also come up very, very quickly. And once that happens, and once we get more clarity as to when is this border being closed to all non-Canadians and non-permanent residents and non-American nationals, when is it effective from, we will of course be communicating that. We will put that in the description box, as well as we will also tag it in the pinned post on this video, as well as of course on our Facebook groups. You will definitely get more detailed information. Now, for the purpose of today's broadcast, today's video is only to discuss the changes that have come up because of the COVID-19 and the effect it is going to have on people who are looking to travel, who are in the middle of travel plans, people who have got their permanent residencies approved, people who have got their visas approved, people who are going to come to Canada in the near future and now are not sure what's going to happen. So we're going to take all those issues and we're going to answer them as well. But since the purpose of this broadcast is specifically only for that particular subject, I will not be answering any other questions. Okay, so yeah, that's basically been the summary of what President Trudeau said. He also mentioned that anybody who will be traveling to Canada, so the airlines will be checking for symptoms, and if anybody exhibits any coronavirus or COVID-19 symptoms, then those people will not be allowed to come to Canada at this point of time. They will have to be screened by the airlines, by the respective airport authorities, as per the Canadian public health specifications, which I'm sure will be communicated to all the airlines shortly. So in short, it's going to be a very chaotic time. And yes, of course, there was another notification, yes, that there will be only 4 international airports in Canada that will be operational for accepting incoming passengers from the 18th of March, and those are Toronto Pearson Airport, Vancouver Airport, Calgary, and Montreal Trudeau Airport. So these are the only 4 airports that will be accepting the passengers. So this was basically the summary of what Prime Minister Trudeau announced in his speech just a couple of hours back. Now, coming back to more important issues, so what all does this include? So when they say specifically Canadian citizens, that's quite obvious. Anybody who has a Canadian passport, even if they have a dual nationality, that's fine, but as long as you have a Canadian passport, you should be able to travel back to Canada. Permanent residents, so if you are a permanent resident card holder, you already have a permanent resident, you have activated your permanent resident status, even if you have a PRTD, permanent resident travel document, you will be able to travel back to Canada. That brings us to people who do not have their permanent resident status yet. What does that mean? So basically, a lot of you have already received the approval of their PR visas. You have received your COPR and you are looking to come to Canada to activate your landing, to activate your permanent resident status. Well, because you haven't yet landed in Canada for the first time as a permanent resident, because you haven't arrived in Canada and activated your status, as of now, for this particular requirement of differentiating between permanent residents and not, you are not considered as a permanent resident. You are still a foreign national. Okay, so again, more details will follow. We will come up with more information on this, or any clarification that comes from IRCC or from the Canadian government. We will, as I said earlier, we will keep you updated on that. But as of today, the understanding is that anybody who is not a permanent resident and who's not a Canadian citizen or who's not an American citizen, these three categories of people will be the only ones who will be allowed across the Canadian borders, whether through air, travel, sea, or whatever means of transport you might choose. Anybody else may not be allowed entry. And this has not been put in effect yet, but this will, I'm sure, will be coming up very soon. You will be able to see when this is effective. It's my assumption it is going to be midnight of 18th of March, because that is also when only 4 airports will be accepting the international passengers. So that is going to be how this will be working. Now let's come very quickly to okay, I hope you can see this now. Okay, so what this is this is the IRCC website, and this is going to talk about the changes or the things that you can do in order for your application, in order for you to inform CIC if it is going to affect your plan. So if you're going to go to this, and I'm going to put the link of this particular website in the description box so that you can actually see it. I am just going to sort of, where did it go? Hold on. Okay. Yes. So this is the particular website I was going to talk about. In this, I'm going to specifically going to look at the permanent residency issues. Now, if you were to come here, as far as the application intake is concerned, there has been no delays, there has been no changes announced as of now. So what that basically means is that if you have received your ITA, 60 days requirement, 60 days to submit your documents still applies. So you still have 60 days to submit your documents. There is no exemption to that as of now. They will process your application based on the R10 completeness checks. However, what they have done is they have given you this exemption, is that if at all you are not able to obtain certain documents, for example, you're not able to get your police clearance, for example, you're not able to get your medicals, for example, you're not able to get certain work experience documents, or whatever kind of documents that you are supposed to get, but because of the restrictions, because of the issues that are coming up with the pandemic, if you're not able to submit any document, then you must explain in your letter of explanation, and also upload a plain paper writing the explanation of why you cannot provide that particular document, and still submit your application. You can still do that. There is no problem. CIC will accept it. CIC will give you additional time for you to provide those documents. So as far as the intake of applications is concerned, there is no change to that. There is no problem with that. So please continue submitting your application if at all you are in the process of doing that. Now, the next portion of this is for travel documents. So for example, if you are in China, Iran, South Korea, and if you need to travel urgently, actually even in Philippines, if you need to travel urgently, you will need to contact the Canadian Embassy and let them know the reason why you need to travel immediately. Now, next issue obviously is for people who have approved permanent residence applications, and that basically means you have the PR visa, the immigrant PR visa, and you have the COPR. Now, in this case, if your COPR and your PR visa is valid and it has a longer validity date, well, there is nothing for you to worry about. Just change your travel plans, and you can travel at any point of time before the expiry of your documents. So if that applies to you, you have nothing to worry about. Just most of the airlines are accepting cancellations. Most of the airlines are accepting any schedule changes, so you will have no issues with that. So please go ahead and change your travel plans, and you will be able to travel on your PR visa, on your COPR if you travel before the expiry of the document. Now, the next portion is, if at all you were supposed to travel but you couldn't travel, and your COPR expired and your PR visa has expired in the last few days, last few weeks, then please do not worry. Still use the web form, IRCC web form, okay, and inform CIC. Let them know that this is what has happened, that your PR visa has expired, your COPR has expired, and what were the situations or what were the conditions around which you could not travel. Please inform them. You will get exemptions from certain conditions. So as long as you let them know, that's the most important factor. Now the third one is going to be for people whose visas are going to expire, whose are basically so for example, today is the 16th of March. Let's say your visa is going to expire on the 25th of March or 30th of March or 29th of March or first week of April or second week of April or whenever. And let's say you had planned to arrive into Canada anytime within the next week. In your case, if you cannot travel, rather you should not travel, that would be my suggestion and recommendation. Well, in your case, you need to use the IRCC web form. You need to inform CIC that you cannot travel due to travel restrictions, due to Canada having closed their borders, and you're quite concerned. Let them know that your visas are going to expire. Let them know that you wish to apply for extension. Let them know. That's the most important factor. In this case, what is going to happen is that they are going to put a note in your application that your visa is going to expire and you're not able to travel. They will put a 90 days move forward date on your application. So at a later point of time, whenever you are ready to travel, whenever, say for example, your visa was going to expire on the 25th of March and you've already told them that you cannot travel, that's fine. At the time when you're ready to travel, let's say now you're on the 1st of July, in future you're on 1st of July and you're ready to travel, everything is fine, the world is calmed down, everybody is happy, and at that point of time, if you wish to travel, let CIC know that you are now ready to travel. CIC is going to reopen your application. Now when we say reopen your application, that means is that IRCC is going to check again. They're going to check for three things. They're going to check for your medicals, if your medicals have or rather are still valid or not. They're going to check if you are still admissible to Canada. So basically they will check for inadmissibilities. And third thing they will check for is your criminality. So as long as these three things are clear, they will issue you a new PR visa, a new COPR, and you will be able to travel without any issues. Please do not stress. Please do not panic. Please do not freak out. I know these are extraordinary conditions, but if we sort of panic at this point of time, we will only create more problems for ourselves. We'll get into more stress. So IRCC is aware, Canadian government is aware. They know how these things are going to make a big difference to a lot of people. It's going to disrupt your travel plans, and it's going to disrupt your life in lots of ways. So as long as you let them know, it's not a problem. So if your visa is going to expire, let them know. If your visa is already expired, let them know. In both the conditions, let them know. You will get exemptions, not exemption, you will get extensions, provided your medicals are all right, your criminality is fine, and your admissibilities are fine. So you will have no issues there. I will post the link for this. You will be able to see this. Now, in case of some of you out there for whom the medicals have already expired, their application is in process, CIC will ask you to get a new medical, right? That's the norm. In this case, usually you are given 30 days to submit your medicals, but you will in this case be given a longer period of time. And again, that is not a problem. Again, you can see more details on this particular website that I will post the link about. Okay, now in this case, what you also need to understand, and I'm going to bring my screen back. Yes, so and you also need to understand that you may get a biometrics request, right? And for example, in Canada, lots of Service Canada offices are closed. Lots of biometric appointments have been cancelled. Similarly, in your respective country, whether you're from India, Pakistan, or any part of the world, if you are not able to get a biometrics appointment, let CIC know. Okay, your biometrics request form is in a standard format, so it will say 30 days, but do not worry, they are aware. They will give up to 90 days extension. That is not a problem as long as you let them know. That's the most important thing. Under normal circumstances, if you do not submit your biometrics within 30 days, it is considered that you're no longer interested and you abandoned your application, and your application may be refused. So in these conditions, what is happening around the world as of now, if your biometrics, you are not able to, record your biometrics data because of all these prevailing conditions. So yeah, please sort of just change or rather inform CIC about it, and you will be absolutely fine. There was one more thing I want to talk to you about. Okay, there have been lots of questions about flag polling. Now, guys, as far as flag polling is concerned, considering the new restrictions that have been put in place as of now, if you go to flag poll and if you're coming back into Canada after exiting, after going into the US and coming back into Canada, you are again a foreign national. You are not a permanent resident at that point of time. So again, the same border restrictions may be applied on you. So as of right now, I wouldn't recommend that you flag poll. If you cannot do your exit entry, inform CIC. Okay, that's the most important factor. So I would not recommend that you do flag poll as of right now, but stay tuned for more updates, for more information as and how we get them. Yes, a lot of people who are students in Canada, who are workers or people who are in work permit in Canada, people who are on spousal visas, people who are on visitor record, everybody. If you are not a permanent resident of Canada, and because you're on a study permit or a work permit, or you're on a spousal visa, but which is either a worker or on a visitor record, if you're not a permanent resident of Canada, please do not leave Canada. Please do not travel to Canada, because same border restrictions may apply on you. And this is effective right now, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 16th of March, because the reason why I'm saying this is because these things can quickly change and new updates may come in. So if somebody is watching this video later on and the updates have already come in, then obviously this will no longer be valid. So as of right now, only permanent residents. So if you have a COPR, if you have a PR visa, but you have not landed in Canada, then you are not a permanent resident of Canada. So therefore, border restrictions may apply on you. Please do not travel. All I can say is that if you have any travel plans to come to Canada as of right now, put it on hold. It's just not worth traveling. There are lots of flight restrictions from all over the world. Borders to Canada have now been closed for all foreigners, so it is just not going to make any sense. There is a lot of chaos. There is a lot of misinformation which is also happening all around the world. If you notice any screenshots, any forwards, please do not believe them blindly. Come back to the official websites, come back to the Canadian government website, come back to the IRCC website, check your own respective country's website, check with the airlines before you believe anything else. All right, so this is the most important factor, and yeah, that's just more or less just about it. Stay safe. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, mouth or eyes. Maintain distance from people. Social distancing has now become the norm, and it is probably going to be the norm for quite some time to come. Europe is not looking good. As of right now, Spain is in a lockdown, France has announced the lockdown, Austria announced the lockdown, Italy already we know, Iran we know, South Korea we know, China we know, lots of parts of India has announced more restrictions. India has also announced that people who are traveling from Europe and even from Dubai will basically face more restrictions when they are coming to India. So please again check Indian government advisories. That's more or less it. If there is any update, if there is any new development, if there is any changes, trust me, we will always keep updating on our Facebook groups. We will always give you more credible websites, credible information to sort of go back and check if everything is all right or not. Until such time, please stay safe. Don't be in a rush. I understand a lot of people are anxious and they want to come back to Canada, but obviously if you have a status in Canada, as in you're a permanent resident or a citizen, you're definitely you can or you should come back to Canada. But apart from that, anybody else, I would recommend that you please put your travel plans on hold until such time when things calm down. Let me quickly check some questions if anybody was there. Okay, and obviously there is another question as to what is going to happen with the application processing. Well guys, there is one more important thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Inland application interviews. So what is inland? Inland landing interviews is for people who applied while they were inside Canada. So for example, they were on a Canadian experience class, they were on a study permit in Canada, and they applied for permanent resident while being in Canada. So they are called as inland applicant, and these people if they have an inland landing interview, which basically means that they received their PPR approval, so they received their PR approvals, but they were not asked to send their passports for stamping. Instead, they've been asked to come for an inland landing interview. This process is when the IRCC officer would meet them in a in-country immigration office, where their status will be checked, or the status will be checked, and they will be given a COPR immediately on site with a stamp, and they do not need to exit Canada to activate their status. Now, for all such people, all your landing interviews until April, I think 19th, if I'm not mistaken, but you need to check on that, they have been cancelled. So IRCC has said that they will now be doing a phone interview instead. They will be sending out emails to you. If you haven't received an email from them, and if your landing interview was scheduled, write back to IRCC asking for clarification. This inland landing interview is only for people who have received their inland landing interview schedules and dates. It applies only to you people, all right? So the interviews have been cancelled. So please check back with IRCC, write to them and ask for schedules. In most cases, they will come back to you. They will inform you of your new landing date or of a telephonic interview date. So that is as far as the inland is concerned. Now, the next thing is express entry draws. Well, as of now, there is no indication that the express entry draw will not continue. Okay, there is no such indication. So it is my assumption, and considering that a lot of things, are being considered, I would assume that express entry draws will continue just the way they were. Either which ways, in the next 2 days, we should find out whether, how they're going to, react to that. I would assume that they would continue with that, because if they delay the express entry draw at this point of time, we all know the scores are going to go out of the roof, and that does not look like a very, very good scenario. Yeah, that's just about it. As far as the other applications are concerned, they are ongoing. PNP applications, well, who's to say? Not there. People, you need to understand there is a lot of things happening. People are under a lot of stress. A lot of requirements are changing. Lots of conditions are changing. And right. So as far as PNP applications are concerned, all the provincial governments are aware. They are trying to sort of, as of right now, the resources are being redirected into more critical matters, and which obviously is health issues. As of right now, there is a serious requirement for social distancing and self-isolation for people who are just returning back from anywhere outside Canada. So under these conditions, a lot of administrative processes, application processes, they are going to get delayed. It's but natural. It's quite normal to understand that there will be a bit delay in the things that are happening. These are, as I keep saying again and again, these are extraordinary circumstances. So it is quite understandable that things will get delayed. Nobody can help it. Nobody thought of it. Nobody planned for it. This is what is happening. We all need to get through with this together. And I'm sure at some point of time PNP draws will resume, because obviously immigration is not going to stop. That has to continue. But as application processing is expected to get delayed for sure, because people cannot work in the ways as they were normally working. And apart from that, CIC application processing, express entry application processing may also see a bit of delay because, again, of extraordinary circumstances. You need to understand, visa offices are in different countries. Your application could be being processed in different countries where lots of restrictions are coming into place, lots of shutdowns are coming into place, and if that is happening, obviously people can't get to the office and work cannot be done in the normal fashion. So therefore, do expect delays in the application process, but please do not freak out. Please do not stress out and create more panic. This is something which you have to understand and accept it, because this is what is happening right now. So I do not expect express entry to delay the draws or to not conduct them. I personally feel that it would happen, but again, fingers are crossed. Let's see what happens in next 2 days time. We will figure it out. We will find out. PNP draws, again, as I already explained, they will do it when they have to do it. First of all, there is no fixed date for them anyways, and I guess when they're ready to do it, they will do it. I can see some more questions, but they are almost the same. and I've already answered them. Thank you so much again for joining in. I appreciate your taking the time to watch what I had to say. That's more or less it from my side. I hope you guys stay safe. Wash your hands, very, very important, and I will see you next time. Bye.